Welcome, Totem Pole Nation, on a beautiful Monday. All right, Lambo's for the Sports, featuring the Big Brother feature on Sideline Sports Network. By the way, the Big Brother has stepped up with the great merch. I mean, the black hoodie just looks real nice. It looks good. I mean, the stars, the totem pole, it looks great. You got to go on totempole.com and get the merch because that's where the merch is. Now, before we get into all this Cowboys rant, by Patriots suck, college football stuff, before we get into all the good stuff, today we have to debate who is the NFL's greatest quarterback of all time. Now, some of you say Tom Brady. Some of you say Aaron Rodgers. Some of you say Pat Mahomes, despite only playing in the league for 6 seasons, but has already been to 3 Super Bowls, been to 5 straight AFC Championship games, and is 2-1 in the Super Bowl. All right? So there's a lot of debates going on. Now, Lambo's for the Sports, we're going to make it official. And soon we're probably going to debate the LeBron James, Michael Jordan jump once basketball season starts. But we're going to debate who's the greatest NFL quarterback of all time. Peyton Manning, no, he was great, but he can never get over the hump of Tom Brady. Aaron Rodgers, that's debatable for somebody else to explain. But first, I'm going to go with Tom Brady. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying Tom Brady because I'm a Patriots fan. I would have said it. I would say Tom Brady's the greatest quarterback of all time, whether I was not a Patriots fan. By the way, to be honest, I've been a Patriots fan since I was 5 years old, since 2006. I remember voting for a guy in the white jersey, number 12, when we lost the 2006 AFC Championship game, blowing an 18-point lead. We lost 34-28 when Tom Brady threw that interception, and the Colts went to the Super Bowl. That's how long I've been a loyal Patriots fan. And despite us being 1-4 as of right now, I'm still a Patriots fan. So I'm never a Tom Brady fan. I'm a Patriots fan till I die. Now, Tom Brady, ladies and gentlemen, 6th-round draft pick, 199 overall from the University of Michigan, was drafted in the year of 2000, not 2001. Y'all didn't hear of him until 2001. As me knowing everything about the Patriots, we had Drew Bledsoe at quarterback. Now, the coaches, it was Pete Carroll, and then Bill Belichick was hired in 2000. He escaped from the Jets under Bill Parcells. That's how he became the head coach of the Patriots. The whole he resigned in 24 hours type thing, that's a different story for later. Tom Brady, ladies and gentlemen, 7 Super Bowls overall, 6 with the Patriots, 1 with Tampa Bay. Now, in the first video of Totem Pole Nation that I created, that I started the legacy with other people involved before he came on the show, because I wanted him on the show since day one, but he's on now, so I made a great business decision. I said that Tom Brady made Bill Belichick. Now, later in the episode, I'll explain whether Belichick's dynasty coming to an end or not. But Tom Brady made the Patriots. He created the Patriot win. Bill Belichick was smart enough behind the scenes, situational football that executed it just well. All right, 7 Super Bowls is the most that a quarterback will ever win. I know some of y'all saying Pat Mahomes can get up there, but I just don't really see it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. He's the only player to have 5 Super Bowl MVPs. 5 Super Bowl MVPs, 4 with the Patriots. Of course, 1, I think, with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if I'm not wrong. In 2003, at the age of 44 years old, he set the market, but to all the haters out there, to all the Max Kellermans, to the early Shannon Sharps that said it's not possible to play quarterback at the age of 45, he barely did it, but he did it. In 2022, not 23, last season is when he retired, he set a record for 5,316 passing yards and 43 touchdowns. He is first in completions with 7,753 completions, pass attempts, 12,050 pass attempts, 89,214 yards. He has 649 touchdowns and 333 starts. By the way, he has won 251 of them. 15 Pro Bowls. Now, he was more interested in winning the Super Bowl than going to the Pro Bowl. So if you didn't see him, he was selected to the Pro Bowl, but he declined it because the Pro Bowl was pointless like 10 years ago. Nobody watched it. All right. He completed 64% of his passes overall career. Now, in the playoffs is where he made history. All right. 35-13 in the playoffs, 88 touchdowns. He has a total of 46 comebacks and 58 game-winning drives. Now I know I went on a rant, and before MattPatt gets on who his GOAT is, it's just it's not really a lot to say. Tom Brady's the GOAT, all right? Tom Brady, I understand in the time period that he's went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. I get it. Between the year of 2005 and 2013, we didn't win a Super Bowl. We made the Super Bowl in 2007 and 2011. Both of those teams, we lost to the Giants. So in those years, we didn't make it. Now, we weren't calling Tom Brady the GOAT until he beat Seattle. I wasn't calling him the GOAT when he won 3 Super Bowls because the 3 Super Bowls in the earliest of 2001 and 2004 was defense. Teddy Bruschi, Mike Vrabel, Ty Law. I can name all these other guys later on. Lawyer Moore was part of that as well. Tom Brady was not considered the GOAT until 2014. All right? So that's my final stance on this. I understand he's went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl, which is very hard to do. But the Patriots find a way. Bill Belichick find a way. Despite that, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Bill Belichick also said that Tom Brady was the greatest player that he's ever coached. And as you can see, we're falling off a little bit, but I'll explain it later. Who is your GOAT? I'm sorry for the 6-minute rant.
You're good. Well, I want to start by saying I do acknowledge Tom Brady as the greatest quarterback to have played. I will say that. My argument for why Aaron Rodgers could be considered is because I think Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback that has ever played. Now, if Pat Mahomes keeps doing what he's doing at this rate right now, then he'll take Aaron's spot in my mind as the best to have played the position. But, Aaron Rodgers, I don't have to go through his whole resume, but I'll go through some of it here. 4-time MVP, 2011, 2014, 2020, and 21. So that's a 10-year window where he accumulated the number 1 interception percentage of all time for a quarterback. He has the number 1 passer rating of all time, the number 2 QBR of all time. He's second in touchdown percentage. He's had 5 seasons of 5 interceptions or less, 12 seasons of single-digit interceptions, 8 seasons of 30-plus, including 2 of them where he led the league, 3 seasons of 40-plus touchdowns. He has a 65% career completion percentage, 5th in touchdowns, 9th in yards, 8th in passes completed. When it comes to stats, you can't try and compare anybody to Brady. He played longer, and he played pretty efficiently in that time. So you can't really compare. And he really didn't get hurt too often. Obviously there was that one year where he was out with the ACL, but besides that, he didn't really have many, major injuries. But just when we're comparing, Pat to Aaron, Pat will pass Aaron pretty quickly in passing yards. And if he plays long enough, he'll definitely pass Tom as well. He's throwing for so many yards per season compared to, especially when Tom started and even when Aaron started, it wasn't really that much of a passing league. So I think, Pat will catch up with the touchdowns and completions. It's just, can he continue to be this accurate? He's throwing a higher completion percentage than both of them. His touchdown percentage is the one that is above Aaron. That's why Aaron's number 2 is because Pat's 1. Pat's number 2 in passer rating. So he's on the same level statistically as Aaron and as Tom up to this point. He's got the step on Aaron, obviously, because he's won an extra Super Bowl, but I still think that Aaron is a better just thrower of the ball than I think than anybody of all time, really. And obviously he's not going to be able to catch up when it comes to rings and, he's a 10-time Pro Bowler, but that's not 15 or 16, whatever it is. So, that's why I conceded at the beginning, but I understand Tom is the greatest. But when it comes to the best, I wanted to sprinkle in, some Aaron Rodgers because I do believe that he deserves some flowers.
The question that I have, I understand it's hard to win the Super Bowl, but have we talked about Aaron Rodgers' playoff failures a little bit? I know Tom Brady had a little bit of playoff failures as well, especially within those 10-year gaps. But what's Aaron Rodgers' record in the playoffs? Because we criticize, he's a good thrower of the ball. I agree with that. But his criticism is the playoff wins.
He's 12-10 in the playoffs.
12. So, you said 12-10.
12-10. Yeah.
So I agree in all points. The problem that we question, we keep talking about Aaron Rodgers as a bad man, which he is. I'm not denying that. When it comes to the playoffs, that's when he gets his flack, is in the playoffs. Like we talked about it since last 3 years in Green Bay. What happened to that NFC Championship game? I think it was first year, second year head coach Matt before. You lost to Tom by kicking a field goal, which is a coaching decision on Matt Fort's part. I think you just go for it. And then the year before, I think you lose to San Francisco 49ers. And then it's finally year, you didn't make the playoffs. And especially in the Mike McCarthy era, they kept making NFC Championship games. They lost to the Falcons one year. They lost to the they lost a lot of games, half of them in the NFC Championship game. So the Aaron Rodgers stats is nice, often regular season wise and all that. Go ahead.
Well, his playoff stats are pretty nice as well. I'm looking at him right here. He throws the ball at 65%.
No, not the stats. I'm not saying this. I'm not saying the stats. I was talking about wins, loss.
No, I hear you, but like a lot of what is a lot of the people that would defend Aaron in this spot, and I would say I'm one of them. He's 45 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 65%. He's throwing 270 yards a game in the playoffs. He still balls out in the playoffs, but I think the construction of the team is what was really the knock on the Packers during the majority of the Aaron Rodgers era. Like he has always had one weapon on offense for sure. Whether it was Jordy and then into Devontae, and then you have like a safety blanket and Randall Cobb. So I'm not going to say he had no weapons, but either the defense was complete dog shit and he was carrying them to the playoffs, or the defense was okay and the offense was mediocre, not by his fault, but just by the way that it was built. And I don't think that you really saw that ever with Tom. It was, Bill Belichick is the greatest coach, but he's also the greatest GM of all time. He constructed all of those Super Bowl winning teams. He built those teams. So as the GM, so I'm going to, he built great defenses to where you didn't have to have studs on offense as long as you had a really, really good quarterback in Tom Brady, obviously. And then you have like Gronk, who's obviously a top weapon in the league. But it's the same. You can draw the similarity to Green Bay, and the difference being that the defense was not built as well, or the offensive line wasn't built as well, or just the construction around Aaron outside of like yeah, he had Aaron Jones the last few years in Green Bay. But before that, like Jamal Williams was all right. Eddie Lacy was like 350. It's not like, he didn't always have the best receiver in the league in Devontae. Like Jordy was good, but we can't act like he was one of the best receivers in the league. Like he was a really good receiver, but he was never a top caliber guy. So like, it's just construction of the team, I think it gives an advantage to Tom. Now, obviously you still had to go out and win 7 Super Bowls. So I'm not like knocking him or giving him a pass or anything. I'm just saying, there's a difference in the construction of the teams as well when it comes to
there was one year you talked about the defense. Now earlier in the early 2000s, 2000, I'd give you maybe 2005, 2006, before everybody got old. When Brady won the first 3 Super Bowls, 2 of them were kicked by Adam Vinatieri. I get that. I give him credit to that. The defense was very, very good, very, very solid. They had a lot of Hall of Famers. Now, in 2007, it was a legit okay defense. Now, numbers wise, I don't know numbers back to 2007 what the defense was. They had a Rodney Harrison. They had a Junior Seau who was Lord God rest his soul on the verge of like mental health. Junior Seau, Sante Samuel, and all that. But there was one year in 2011 for the Patriots where I think they were the 31st ranked defense in the NFL, and they still made the Super Bowl. Now, statistically, they were probably the worst, but it didn't look like they were the worst. But when we had Matt Patricia, I think in the early 2010s, before he got the head coaching, or before we got rid of like Eric Mangini, Romeo Crennel type thing, we give up a lot of yards, but we don't give up points. I'm not sure. It's not really an argument, but it's just like I feel like the early 2010s, our defense was between 2000, let's say 9 and maybe 12 or 13, our defense was pretty ass. And then in 14, 15, 16, and on, our defense was great when we had signings of a Brandon Browner in 2014 and a Darrell Revis. Then you had a Malcolm Butler. I mean, you had those additional guys. The defense has always been Gilmore. Well, Gilmore was like 2017 and forward. I was talking 2014 when we won the first Super Bowl. I think in like 10 years we had a Malcolm Butler, a Brandon Browner.
Well, the defense won that game. All Seattle had to do was hand it to Marshawn, but they were ready for the pass and they intercepted it. So the defense won that game. Let's not act like that was
I'm not discrediting the defense. I'm just saying the earlier, as me being a Patriots fan and watching the history, the earlier days of the Patriots defense is better than what it is now. The earlier days is a way better defense because you get hit harder and all this other stuff. The earlier defense locked down than the pre-Patriots after the 3 Super Bowls. Even in years we didn't win the Super Bowl for 10 years, our defense was good enough. But between 2001 and 2004, that defense, or you can put 2005, 2006 when they sort of missed, didn't win it. That defense was a legit defense. I'll take a Ty Law, a Teddy Bruschi, those guys over, our Darrell Revis and Vince Wilforks and Richard Seymour's and stuff like that. Like that was a legit defense. Is what I'm trying to say. That's a better defense than what we had, now. But the question is, what does Patrick Mahomes have to do to even surpass both of them? Because I mean, I know a lot of Chiefs fans keep saying he's already better because of the fast pace and all that, but he was fit in a perfect situation like Tom Brady was with Bill Belichick. Because look, we wasn't calling Andy Reid one of the top 3 coaches of all time. Because look, he had Donovan McNabb, so we wasn't talking about Andy Reid being on top of there with a Bill Belichick, John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, who hasn't had a losing season. So what does Pat Mahomes have to do to surpass those two? Now he might surpass Tom Brady in those stats, but does he have to just win Super Bowls to pass Tom Brady? What does he have to do?
Well, for it to be like as unanimous as, and I don't think it ever will be. I think it's going to be very similar to Braun and MJ in the sense like this is this generation and Pat will be the newest generation. So Pat only needs one more MVP and he'll have the same amount as Tom. And like you said, statistically, he'll pass both of them in pretty short order, I believe, just because of like the frequency of throwing the ball is so much higher today than it was for the majority of both of these guys. Maybe less Aaron. It really, took the hard flip to like passing in like 16, 17, like it went a little bit away from the running game. But even then you still had powerhouses or like in the backfield, like Marshawn Lynch was still good. And at that point, so, or maybe he was more on the outside, but I think that's when it was shifting. So it's like half of Aaron's career as a starter, at least. And then definitely like 2/3 of Tom's career. They did not throw anywhere close to this. Now, obviously Tom, his last couple of years in Tampa Bay was throwing the most in the league. So we understand that in the system he was in, was throwing a lot, but majority of his career he wasn't. And that's the point that both of us are making here. Like he will pass them in stats. Aaron before Tom, obviously, but I don't know, maybe like 5 Super Bowls, and he wins Super Bowl MVP in all of them, and he wins like 2 more MVPs. If he gets 4 MVPs and he's tied with Aaron on that, but he's got 5 Super Bowls and 5 Super Bowl MVPs and he'll be number 1 in all the stats and everything. Or in like the longevity stats, at least he's got to get there. But I don't know. Tom was only all pro 3 times as well. And I'm pretty sure. How many times has Pat been all pro? Twice?
Maybe I think twice or once. Or it could be the same amount. I might be wrong.
I'll look. Yeah. So like it's tough. So Pat has been MVP twice. He's been all pro twice. 2-time Super Bowl MVP. So yeah, if they win 3 more Super Bowls, he's Super Bowl MVP.
Tom Brady was all pro 3 times: 2007, 2010, and 2017. The 2017 where what's it called, after the Roger Goodell suspension thing?
Yeah.
After the fact.
Yeah, I said 3 times. So that's the thing. So it's like, if he wins 2 more MVPs, he would then have 4 all pros. So yeah, and if that, all of those have to happen, I think he's got to, for it to be a legitimate debate. Because if he's only got 4 Super Bowls, then that kind of, no, I don't think so. I think if he has 4, you could have the debate. 4 is my number. 4 or 5.
So 4 is 4 Super Bowls?
Yeah. But he's got to be up there, and he's got to be up there in all the stats. Like he has to have caught up in majority of the stats that Tom or Aaron is leading in. Like, I don't think that he'll ever get Aaron's interception percentage, just because, like I mentioned earlier, Aaron has 5 seasons of 5 or fewer interceptions, and he's got like 12 seasons of single digits. Like, he's only been double digits like 3 times or something. So like Pat's already been double digits in interceptions like 3 or 4 times. So like, that's not end all be all, the determining factor of who's the better quarterback. I just think like that holds some weight, and that one's going to be tough for him to overpass for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's a results. This NFL business is all about results. So if he wins, I give him, if he wins 2 more Super Bowls, it'll probably be something to talk about. But I think for Pat Mahomes, he'll play a very long time. He's still in that 10-year contract. I think he'll play for a very long time. He hasn't had that many injuries, but I don't think he's gonna get Tom Brady Super Bowl rings. But he'll get stats. It's hard to get 7, and it's not easy. And we hadn't seen, like I said, the downfall of the Chiefs with Pat Mahomes yet. We hadn't seen it because they've been in 5 straight AFC Championship games. So we hadn't seen the downfall of the Chiefs just yet. So we just have to wait for the Chiefs to overcome adversity. Not hoping that Patrick Mahomes shows. I like Pat Mahomes very well, but to see the adversity, we see them. They won a Super Bowl without Tyreek Hill. Okay, that's still out the window. We just have to see what they can do this year and going forward. And wish there was more to talk about this, but it's really not. We just hadn't seen it yet. But Aaron Rodgers is considered up there. He's hurt. We'll see how he has to do in his final chapter with the Jets. And then Pat Mahomes, he's still playing. He's still balling out. But, yeah, it was a good debate to have. But now the next thing we're going to get into is your favorite, college football. All right? Oklahoma beats Texas. I told you Texas is not a top 5 team. I was right. We were wrong about our picks, though. But Oklahoma fooled us all. Dylan Gabriel was not the problem. We weren't sold on the Oklahoma defense, but we'll talk about that later. I told you about Notre Dame. I was very nervous about ACC competition, and we got stomped. It wasn't even close. He texted me. He said, "What is Notre Dame doing?" I don't know what to tell you. What the hell we doing? We lost to Louisville. Not only we lost, Jeff Braun has Louisville 6-0. I mean, we didn't see this coming. And then, what is Mario Cristobal doing? Take a knee and the game is over. And I swear to you, the Miami program probably lost, and the donors, they probably lost millions of dollars. And to all you people that bet on that game, I know y'all were pissed because all they had to do was need the ball. Even if you had 4 seconds left on the clock, you could have just ran a play like Alabama did with A&M and just throw it out of bounds. But that's something we'll talk about next in Lambo's World of Sports. Talk about college football. Goodbye, adios. We'll catch you next 5 minutes.